Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we are here with the one and only Josefina Jimenez, legend. Um, we're gonna go ahead and start the podcast today, guys, with an introduction of who this woman is. She's a childhood friend. We actually grew up together, and here we are now at one of her like amazing studios that she has. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, Feels weird to tell you a little bit about myself because I feel like you've seen me grow up.
I don't even know who this woman is.
I know he thinks he doesn't know who I am, but I've known him since we were I was maybe 7.
Yeah.
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 You were like my brother's best friend.
Shout out to my boy Gabriel.
Gabriel and Junior.
And Junior. Yeah, pretty much and Danny too. Danny, can't forget about Danny. I grew up with all of them. I grew up with everybody.
Playing soccer.
Yeah, we were childhood friends. I was always at your house.
Yep, my mom cooking for all of them, and me.
Yep, shout out to the mom.
Me
too.
not having any leftovers. I'll be like, everybody get the fuck out of my house, yo.
Who ate all my food, man? Goddamn. That's what you didn't like us being there, huh?
Nah, it was cool. It was just whatever. It was just part of it at that point. But my name is Josefina, guys. Last name Jimenez. I don't know what words I guess to use to describe who I am. I'm a lot of things: a mother, a daughter, a sister, a partner, a friend. I'm just me.
It's just you.
Just me.
Just Josefina, guys. Nothing
Not
else.
just me, all of me.
Everything.
Everything, all the things. I'm too much.
She sure is. We're here at one of our studios, a very nice place.
Thank you.
Very proud of you, man.
Thank you.
I've always been a fan of yours since you started all of this, but I never really got to tell you in person,
Oh.
And now I'm telling you in a podcast like this. I've never even mentioned this to her.
Thank you.
And I think I like everything you have accomplished.
Thank you.
You've come very far.
Thank you.
I think this is one of them.
Yeah, the other one is, so we are at the Oakbrook Salon. We're located at 2021 Midwest Road, Suite 305. We do have a River North location, which is 750 North Franklin Street, Suite 201, for anybody who needs to get their microblading done.
Don't worry, guys. We'll leave the links and tags and pages so you guys can go and check out all her work. And it's kind of like work, but it's like more like art. It's like very artistic. That's one thing I wanted to make this podcast, because it's like, I know it's work, but at the same time,
It doesn't feel like work.
It's like art. Like you're doing, and then you make people feel great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen your reviews, and I've seen all the feedback you get from making people feel like their life is a little different from.
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's the biggest satisfaction for me. I think a lot of people tell you, or society kind of implemented that you open a business to make money and to sustain your livelihood, and while yes, money's an important tool, it's not everything. I think that being able to establish a business where you genuinely do what you love, everything will just come naturally, because sometimes we're so focused on the money that you're not even enjoying. Like, I feel like, honestly, I look around and I feel like 90% of the people that I see interacting in the world are miserable. And it's so sad, because I think most people are stuck doing jobs that they hate because either society told them they were supposed to, or that's their only option, or they think that's their only option, or just fear, I think that when you operate from a love and passion standpoint and authenticity, staying true to yourself, like, everything else just kind of flows. And that's kind of like, it's hard, it's been a process to embrace for me, because I'm not going to say that it's been easy. Like, it's been a lot of big steps to get to where I am, where people can see you on social media and say, oh my God, like, I've had people tell me, like, you're always traveling, do you even work anymore, this and that. But we have to realize that social media is just the part that I let you see, right? Which I personally try to be as true as possible. Don't have the capacity to share absolutely my whole life, but that's just an audience perspective of you, right? But that's not necessarily all of the steps that it took for you to get there. And while I'm not saying that it was super extremely difficult, or I guess it's also perspective, because for me, like, yes, it took a lot of steps. Was it difficult for me? Maybe a little bit, but did I view it as difficult? No, because I love it so much, so it just came so naturally.
You like the journey of
Yeah, so
struggling.
it just, like, I feel like I kind of, like, landed here without noticing that they were, like, hardships. But now that I can look back and kind of acknowledge everything that I had to do to get to this point specifically, yeah, it wasn't easy. Absolutely, it wasn't easy. But I enjoyed it. So it just keeps reminding me that when you do something you love, when you're passionate about it, it's just not as I guess difficult to overcome those obstacles, if that makes sense. Or when you like let go of the fear and just say, fuck it, I'm gonna do this, and I'm just gonna like believe in me even if no one else does, and just run with it. Like, everything is just gonna be in the place that it needs to be, if it's meant to be, right?
Yeah.
But most of us are scared to take that step, you know? It's just a matter of letting go of that fear.
It's like the feeling of being afraid.
Yeah.
You know, being scared.
Yeah, we were always told we weren't enough, or you know, this is not what you should do, this is how you should be, this is what you should expect, this is who you should become, as opposed to like, why just not stay true to what I feel and want for myself, and maybe I could make a killer fucking empire out of it.
You did?
And you did.
Like, what, in how many years do you think you did everything? You know, I know you've been through a lot, but let's just put a cap, you know, how long, some really, because everybody has that beginning, where like I like how you say that you were not always like, you know, worry about what was going to happen. You just kind of enjoyed every other day that things were happening.
Right.
But when did it start? Or how long do you think? When did it start and when did it end? And then you started to see, like, hey, well, that's the reason why I went through all of that stuff to get to this point.
Right. So for me, it's been a process. I would say about 5 years. A lot of you already know this story, and I openly share it. But in 2019, was kind of like the game changer for me. Like, I had been working from serving to bartender to like all these jobs.
I didn't know you were a bartender.
Oh yeah, I can make a mean drink.
Where did you bartend?
I bartended at a couple places. I bartended at the hotels by Midway, TGI Fridays, Coaches. I worked at a sushi bar downtown.
Server?
Yeah,
Host?
in those places also. And I'm super grateful for that, because I feel like everybody kind of looks at positions like that as like less than, or I don't even know how to describe it, but I don't think I would have the resilience that I have today if I was not thinking about the ranch that someone asked me for fucking 2 hours after I never took it to the table, you know?
Oh, you're one of those servers.
No, I was,
hey, where's my ranch?
No, I was very on top of it. I was like very good at like handling the stress all at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where I realized, like, that was one of my points of understanding the capacity that I had, like, mentally. And I feel like when you, not that it's good to be under stress, but when I think that having the capacity to deal appropriately with that stress allows you to handle things a lot differently, like from now in a business standpoint and stuff like that, you know? So I definitely, like, I don't think I would be here today if I hadn't been a server, bartender, you know, doing all those things. I did hair. I started off doing makeup in my house. I mean, I was a hustler. I don't know if you remember
I do.
in elementary
I remember.
school. Little girl, like I would do my hair
You
with
had,
the
like,
rubber bands.
You had a makeup
Yeah,
probably more than
yeah.
like any of these artists. Like she already had all of her shit. Like
Yeah, I remember I would do my hair, and little girls would ask me like, "Oh, who did your hair?" And I would be like, "Me." I was such a perfectionist since then. Like the lines had to be super straight, and they didn't believe me. So I would be like, "Oh yeah, well I'll do your hair for $5, you know." And then I would have like I remember being 8 years old having like
pack of money.
3 clients for picture day because I was doing 3 girls' hair, and I was like, "Damn, Josefina, you're a gangster."
Since you were little.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, I watched my
I
dad
didn't know
have
that either.
businesses, so my dad always had businesses, and it was kind of just like my impulse, I guess, to do that as well. I mean, I was always very smart and like top of the class, but I fucking hated school. And I was like, this is boring. Like, I can't sit here. Like, there's something
And you were good at
else.
school too.
I was good at school, but then I got to high school, and I was like, screw this. Like, I even got into Lane Tech, which is like one of the highest rated high schools in the city, and
yeah, I remember that.
I love the experience, but I was like, fuck, this is not for me. Like, I can't sit in a class. And I barely graduated, to be honest.
Do you think school somehow played also a part in your success? Like I know you hate
absolutely.
it, but like you think like I know school, everybody has their own opinions on it, but do you think that because of school and all that stuff you had to go through helped somewhat your success now as well?
Absolutely. Especially knowing that you have the mental capacity or the intelligence to pass, to get a good grade, to do all the things, and then just realizing like this is not my path, and just like that feeling, that gut feeling inside, like this is not it. And fortunately for me, I had the figure of my father who like did business, and you know, he didn't go to college or anything like that, and I was like, he's fine, we're fine, everything's fine, so I can run businesses too, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be the way that society told you. And I actually implement that now with my 8-year-old because, I mean, I'm pretty sure most people know that I'm now divorced, and you just realize how different your beliefs can be, you know, where my ex-husband is, he has his career in international affairs. He's very, like, educated in, I don't even know how to describe it, like he's very by the book. I have an education, diplomas, degrees, and I don't, you know, I was just like barely past high school and put myself through beauty school, and then so my son is kind of like, well, my dad says that I have to go to college and da 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 and this and that, and I'm at a point in parenting where I'm like, you don't need to be anything that you don't want to be, you know, and it's tricky because society will confuse you into like that is the only way, but it's not the only way. Like I literally, my focus as a mother is to be real with my son, and then for him to take, at the end of the day, we all kind of grow up and pick our own paths anyway. We kind of see like, hey, I learned this from my dad, he was this way, he was that way, I'll take what I want and discard what I don't. And likewise with your mother, you know, I'll keep what I want and I'll discard.
That's true.
So what I realized is that all I have to do is be myself, and that's the best mother I can be. You know, I'm not gonna tell you eat broccoli if I fucking hate broccoli, you know? I gotta show you that I love broccoli so that you can maybe like lead by example, kind of, you know?
Do you like broccoli?
I do like broccoli.
I always see your Instagram post. You know, I'm a big fan of you and your just how you carry yourself.
Thank
so
you.
I always see your food pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
You've been like, do you think that also plays a big part in your everyday success? Like how you eat? Like I've been seeing how you mix berries and you've been trying to. I'm looking at her stuff like, shit, I gotta try this out, you know. And
I mean, I think from I mean, everybody knows that I used to be like 320 pounds, and that's a whole nother journey that I've been on, Um, but I just come to the realization that like the most powerful thing you can have is self-control, because we spend most of our lives thinking that we can control the outcome of everything else and everyone around us, but you actually only create more resistance in your life. So when you surrender to what is, you just naturally attract what's meant for you, right? So I kind of have shifted my thinking on not being so like, oh my God, I'm gonna eat just this, and this, but kind of like balancing, just finding a balance with everything in my life, and embracing that some days I want fucking pizza, and that's okay, and that some days I'm gonna eat super healthy, but just doing what feels right to you, you know? Like nobody could sit here and tell you what is right for you. Everybody will try to tell you what's right for you, what you deserve, what you should want, what you should expect, but only you. Like if you're truly in touch with your intuition, like we already know. Like your soul kind of already knows, you know?
Yes.
You always like in a moment of crisis, like you just like know what to do, you know? So yeah, that's what I've been doing, implementing that in all the aspects of my life, and it's kind of working.
Yeah.
And just like I go back to what we were talking about, being real. Like I sit there and my son is like, Mom, my dad says I have to go to college and I don't want to. And I was like, look, like I'm just gonna be real with you. Like I didn't go to college and I make the same as a doctor or lawyer. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you have to go to college. Like if you wanna go to college, go to college. But if you don't, like that's not the only way. It's not not what works for everybody else is gonna work for you. And if you do that, that doesn't mean that you're gonna be happy. Like stay true to yourself, and most importantly, figure out what speaks to you. You know, because I think that more importantly, like I'm very spiritual, so I believe in like energy's everything. Like when you vibrate at a frequency of love, passion, authenticity, like you put that out into the world.
Get it back.
I mean, whether you get it back or not, I don't live my life expecting anything in return. But do I believe that stuff naturally I don't know if gravitate is the word, but kind of like the law of attraction, like what you are, you attract type. Like that, I believe that to be very true. So like if you're putting negative energy out there, guess what? Bad things are gonna. And if you notice that, like if you pay attention, like when you have a bad day and then you're just like, oh my God, this is the worst day, and then the next day gets worse, and then something worse happens and something worse happens. Whereas like when you let that go and you kind of just like are like, okay, everything's fine, when you're grateful, like
It's
better things come.
Yeah.
But we like so often focus on the negative and the fears and the
You think it's like a perspective?
Oh, absolutely.
Like a mindset?
Absolutely. I think the difference between people who are satisfied with their life, everything is perspective. I think you can have two people in the same exact scenario, and one can tell you it's the worst fucking life, and the other one can be like, well, I'm grateful that I'm alive today. You know? And that's like the beauty of it. I have 100% shifted my whole life by shifting my perspective. Like, if we go back to how I started, you know, I've been through a lot of stuff, even from my childhood. My dad has had 7 open heart surgeries, a heart transplant, like, so many things. 2019, we all know, like, I had a stillborn child when I was 38 weeks pregnant. A freak accident, nothing wrong with the pregnancy, nothing wrong with the baby. Like, I went to sleep and he was alive, and I woke up and he was dead. Like, what do you do with that? I sat there personally and I stared at a fucking wall for 2 months and victimized myself and cried and said, why did this happen to me? I'm a good person. I don't do anything wrong to people. And then that's when I had some of the deepest moments of my life. Like when I sat there and I was like, Josefina, like you literally do not have another fucking option but to shift your perspective right now. or you go with your thoughts and you fucking kill yourself. You're either gonna take the easy way out, but you have another child that's watching you, or you shift it, no matter how much it fucking hurts. And it wasn't easy. I mean, anyone can imagine that losing a child has to be.
I don't think anybody can. You have to.
Unless you live it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You I mean, I even if you try.
Yeah.
You have to go through that experience.
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, I'm not minimizing other types of deaths, but holy crap, like, when you lose a child that's so, like, vulnerable and you're like, why didn't this person get a chance, or however
like, it's
you
a
can.
part of you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you lose a part of you.
Like
literally.
something that you were here to protect, and, you know?
Right.
Like, it's just, I felt like it would have been easier to die, honestly. But I transformed that. I switched that into this is the moment that's gonna change my whole fucking life, and it sure did.
And it did.
It sure did.
Yeah, it fucking did.
That was the moment where I said, Josefina, you can sit here for another 2 fucking months and waste your life and even go into a deeper hole and become a drug addict and just like not give a shit, or you can do something different. And it was very powerful, to be honest, because I sat with myself, and I think in those moments is when you truly can like sit down and remove all the chaos from life and kind of be like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? That was my biggest what the fuck moment of my life. Josefina, like, you have been working your ass off since you left your parents' house when you were, I don't remember, 16, 18 years old. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you're working an office job at a trucking company, which was great to me. I'm super grateful for them also, not saying anything bad. But it was just something that I didn't like. I was just like this, I hated it. And I love the people there, but I hated my job. And I was like,
I didn't even know you worked there too.
What the fuck are you doing? And that's when I remembered, like, you know, being in the beauty industry, I had been doing makeup and stuff like that, and microblading had become a thing. Maybe it was very new still here, but it was becoming a thing. And I actually had applied to the place where I started like 2 years prior, but I had just started beauty school, and I, you know, paid for it myself. It was like 25 grand, and I was like, I honestly, I'm not gonna, like, they kind of like offered me the position, but then they said the front desk girl was gonna do it, but they could start me off at front desk, and then I could, and I was like I'll drop school for the microblading position, but not for front desk to potentially transition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna drop out of school for that. Excuse me. It just wasn't my. It just wasn't my time. No, I'm good. Thank you. So for some reason, after my son dies, I'm like, I need to do what the fuck
needed to do.
I want, you know, and stop living a mediocre ass life. Like, we stay in our comfort zone because we're so scared of what if I fail, but what if you fucking don't? But what if you don't? Like, the what if is the biggest, like, bridge to cross. And yeah, I remember like going on Craigslist and they had an ad, and I was like, this is a fucking sign from the universe, you know? And I reach out to them, I'm like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I applied a couple years ago, and they're like, oh my god, yes. Like, we actually already hired 2 people, but in the scenario that someone declines the offer, it's all yours. And sure enough, someone declined the position. I go to that company, I pour my heart and soul into it. I really genuinely did. I brought in I already had built a clientele for hair and makeup, so I brought them all in. I was hustling, man. I was like, here, first couple months, I think the first month I did like 80 people. Because I just had so many clients already at like $100. I think it was like $100. Here, I'll do your eyebrows. Here, I'll do your eyebrows. Like, I was just trying to practice, you know, because I know that practicing is, like, you could give me all the fucking degrees.
Wait, what do you mean here, $100?
Like here, I'll do your eyebrows for $100. Like I was giving them my business cards. Like here, I'll do microblading for $100. You know.
Oh, okay.
When it's like a $500 service, now it can range anywhere from $500 to like $1,200. You know. So I think my first 80, maybe my first 40 people, I did at like $100, and I was just like so focused on like I'm growing. You like this is your thing, and once I started doing it, I was like this is it. Like Josefina, you were born to do this shit. Like I remember when I was younger, I love drawing. I have always loved drawing, and my friends make fun of me because in high school I had a sketchbook that like was filled with like I would doodle, and my doodles were like eyes and eyebrows. Yeah, so to have a career that I can instill both and make someone feel good is everything to me, you know.
I always knew you were an artist.
Yeah,
Since
I was little.
Yeah, since you were little, you kind of had your own like craft.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what happens when you stick to something you like, you know, you love. You will literally will make things happen for you, and I'm very surprised that nothing stops you. Not surprised, but it's like it's kind of like, wow, this person has so much strength in them.
Yeah.
And they are willing to show you, not only show yourself, but when you started publishing it on Facebook and social media, like about, you know, your own personal stuff, that takes a whole nother level of energy. Like for you to talk to people and let them know, because you're not just talking from a point of view, you're letting people know from experience. And it's like, look, this is what's happening to me, so whatever's happening to you, you could do this.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, putting yourself out there, exposing yourself out there, showing people what is it,
vulnerability.
That you know, showing people that you are, you know, you're a human as everybody
just
else.
Like everybody else.
And she's special, but at the same time, it's like she's like everyone else. Like, you know, I grew up with her. She had her own thing, and everyone all my friends and everyone has their own thing, and like I got to see everyone grow, but not everybody is as like, okay, well, this happened to me, now I'm gonna encourage others, and I'm gonna start telling people about what I went through and my experience. And you know, you could, you know, the way you are, like you said, you can say that, oh, I could do this and this is what's right for you, and at the end of the day, you show people who you are and what you're doing, and they learn. You know, they absorb that from you.
Yeah, and I think that's an important thing to do in a world that's filled with perfect lives that we see on social media. And I think that, you know, to most people can seem like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not where I'm supposed to be, and it could be so discouraging. But to see someone, maybe, I mean, to me, it is just part of my life, so I don't see it as like, oh my God, Josefina, you know, when people come up to me, they're like, I've been following you and this, and I'm
Can
just
I get
like,
your autograph?
I'm like, bro, I'm just a regular girl that loves what she does, you know?
You're very humble. You're not very humble.
I mean,
you.
It's just me. It's just my regular life, you know? But
you're right about that. Like,
it's just perspective. Like, I think a lot of people, you know, it's just how like, I'm not gonna lie, like my dad, he would tell me like, maybe you shouldn't post so much about your business stuff and this and that, and like it might seem like you're showing off. And I was like, you know what, like the way that people receive me is none of my business. Like if you feel jealous, guess what, that's the root of your insecurities, not mine. I'm displaying my vulnerable, real self, my experiences, in hopes that it can encourage others to also just be themselves and follow their true path, and maybe you'll love your life as well, you know? And if I can share that with someone and tell you, hey, like my life has not been rainbows and butterflies, and guess what? I didn't have rich parents to give me money. Guess what? I once had a man walk in here and say, oh, so did your husband put this salon for you? And I was like, what? Excuse me? I've been... like, I left my parents' house when I was like, I can't remember, 16 or 18 years old. And I have busted my ass. I bought my own first car. I put myself through school. Like, I took, I'm not gonna lie, I've learned to not take things like that offensively now, but at the moment I did. I was like, really? Like, that's the only way that a woman can become successful?
What would you tell yourself if you could go back in time and who you are now? What would you tell yourself and when you were in that moment, like right now, like you go back, like you teleport in time and you go back and you're you and you tell, what would you tell yourself?
To that man?
To the girl that, was with, back in the day. Like, you say, all these things, but what would you, you could go
like
back.
to my younger self. I don't think I would say anything different. I think that everything that I've felt, heard, seen, done was part of my evolution process to get me to this exact moment. And if I had the chance to go back, I wouldn't at all. By no means, because then that could potentially alter what is happening right now. And right now is all that exists. And I'm very content with all that exists right now.
That's good.
Yeah. Had I tweaked that, I don't know. I could have, like, one thought, one mindset shift, one action could shift your whole life. So I wouldn't change anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that. I'm actually gonna watch this podcast over again. You can pause it.
Yeah, I had it there.